Right. So we've just completed with the discussions regarding the investigations, right? So due diligence, investigations, and the forensic audit. Did we complete our entire discussion regarding the investigations also? Right? The types of investigations, then the different levels at which fraud can be committed, then investigation of fraud in cash receipts, cash payments, customers ledger, suppliers ledger, and also the defalcation of the inventory, that is the inventory frauds. Okay, so now coming to the third part of this chapter, which is regarding the forensic audit. And what I can tell you right now, that this entire forensic audit is trending, right? The entire forensic audit is a very upcoming area for questions coming in your exams, is regarding the forensic audit, right? Lot of questions, because earlier this chapter was only due diligence and investigation. What they've now also added to the chapter is the discussion regarding the forensic audit, right? So again, now regarding the forensic audit, what are we going to be discussing? One, the meaning of forensic audit. Then second one, the distinguish between the other audits versus the forensic audits, right? Distinguish, just as we have the distinguish between audit and investigation, now we have the distinguish between the other audits and the forensic audit, right? Then after that, we have the discussion regarding this fellow who is called as the forensic auditor, right? So we see that forensic auditors are generally involved in what are the services rendered by the forensic auditor, then what are the characteristics of the forensic auditor, what are the skills of the forensic auditor. So we have some 5 questions regarding this forensic auditor. Right, then we have another question, that the services rendered by the forensic accountant, right? Forensic accountant, auditor, they all more or less mean the same. But it says the services rendered by the forensic accountant are in great demand in which areas? Right, so services rendered by the forensic accountant are in great demand in which areas? Right, then after that you have a question on the process of forensic accounting. Call it forensic accounting, forensic auditing, forensic investigation, it all means one and the same. But you have a question on the process of the forensic accounting. Then the steps that may be used in conducting a forensic audit, right? Then after the steps, you also have the, right, the techniques that may be used in the forensic audit, right? The techniques and the different types of techniques which may be used in the forensic audit. And last but not the least, you have the contents of the forensic audit report, right? Last but not the least, over there you have the discussion regarding the contents of the forensic audit report, right? So if I look into this in totality, this is what I am discussing in this particular chapter of due diligence, investigations, and the forensic audit. So right now, what discussion have we come to? Forensic audit. In that we have one, what is the meaning of forensic audit, then what is the distinguish between the other audits and the forensic audit. Just as we saw the distinguish between the audit and investigation, now we have to see the distinguish between the other audits and the forensic audit. Are you able to follow this? Okay, then we are going to meet the forensic auditor, for which we have the 5 questions over there. Then services rendered by the forensic accountant are in great demand in which areas? Then the process of forensic accounting, then the steps, the techniques, and also the contents of the forensic audit report, right? So let us just have a look at this content in our book over there, right? So what is the first line of our discussion over here? The meaning of the forensic audit, forensic accounting, forensic investigation, right? What is the meaning, right? Then after that, the second question which we have over there is distinguish between the other audits and the forensic audit, right? So other audits versus the forensic audit, right? Then third one we meet over here is the forensic auditor. And what do we say? Forensic auditor is often involved in. Then what is the importance of forensic auditor? Then what are the services rendered by forensic auditor, right? Then D, what are the characteristics of the forensic auditor? And E, what are the skills of the forensic auditor? So under 3 we have A, B, C, D, E, right? 5 questions over there regarding the forensic auditor, right? Then fourth question, the services services rendered by the forensic auditor accountant are in great demand in which areas? Right, so services rendered. Then 5 is the process of forensic accounting. So this process over here is nothing but the steps actually, where we talk about our OPC. And this is nothing but the process of forensic accounting. Point number 5, right? Then after that, point number 6 is a small question over there regarding the steps involved in forensic audit. So here they say analytical steps, technology steps, and the investigative steps. Then next question, again a very important one, the techniques that may be used in the forensic audit. Right, so we have these 8 different techniques which may be used in the forensic audit. Out of that, technology based digital forensic techniques, data mining techniques have been asked as retail question in your exams. And last but not the least, right, this is point number 7, and the last point which we have over there is the contents of the forensic audit report. So again, what are the points to be kept in mind while doing the reporting? What are the main factors to be considered? And then what are the contents of the forensic audit report? Right, so this is our schedule, our flow of discussion regarding the forensic audit. Are you able to follow this, everyone? Right, so one, what is it? Meaning of forensic audit, the intro talk. Then after that, distinguish between the other audits versus the forensic audit. Then we meet who? We meet the forensic auditor. What do we say? He is often involved in what? What is the importance of forensic auditor? Then what are the services rendered by the forensic auditor? What are the characteristics of the forensic auditor, and what are the skills of the forensic auditor? Then services rendered by the forensic accountant are great demand in the following areas. Then the process of forensic accounting, right? Again, process of forensic accounting, perform analysis has been asked as a retail question in your exams, right? Reporting has also been asked as a retail question in the exam, right, in the process of forensic accounting. And then you also have the steps involved in forensic accounting or auditing, then techniques that may be used. So you have 8 techniques which may be used, and last you have the contents of the forensic audit report. Okay, let us have a look at the question bank, right? So what is a question which has come 3 times in your exams? You have been requested to carry out a forensic audit of a listed entity by the board of directors based on a whistleblower complaint received. Before commencement of the forensic audit, you and your team are discussing the various aspects relating to the scope and the procedures to be carried out. What would be the items of discussion with respect to the differences between the forensic audit and the other audit? Or explain how a forensic audit differs from an assurance engagement. Or what does it say? Seema said that there is nothing new in this, as ultimately forensic audit is also like any other audit. Do you agree with her view and support your answer with relevant explanation? Right, so what is a question which is trending in the exam right now is the distinguish between the other audits and the forensic audit. Are you understanding that? In the list of 1 to 8 we prepared, where is this? This is in point number 2. We prepared a list of 1 to 8, right? So this is in point number 2. Then services rendered by the forensic auditor. So services rendered by the forensic auditor, that is there in 3C, right? That is there in 3C, right? Then the process of forensic accounting, is that point number 5? Right, we can just check the process of the forensic accounting, right? Yes, that is point number 5 in the list that we are preparing, the process of the forensic accounting. Then in that process of forensic accounting only, we have 2 retail questions over there, perform analysis and also the reporting under the process of forensic accounting, right? Then technology based digital forensic techniques, and then you also have the data mining techniques, right? So this is there in point number 7, and again the second one, data mining techniques, is in point number 7, right? So you see that it has recently come, but then recently also a lot of questions for the same are coming in the exam. So 100%, like if you have to do the chapter of due diligence, investigations and the forensic audit, first I will give a disclaimer, okay, whichever question comes in your exam, that is an important one. You understand? No, if in your exam they ask investigation on behalf of an incoming partner, for you that incoming partner question is most important. Forensic audit has no relevance in your life, and it has no importance, no value addition, no mark addition, nothing. But generally, if I have to like really do an analysis of this chapter, forensic audit would come at number 1 location, then would come the due diligence, and then comes the investigation. But even when I say this, I'm scared. Because even when I say this, I said no, who knows, okay, next attempt the students will see 10-mark question on investigation only coming. So it's very risky, it's very dangerous to say so. But yeah, based on the past trend of whatever we are analyzing, right, very important for us to do the forensic audit part very, very properly. Okay, right? So is it clear to everyone? What are we going to discuss? Have you also had a look at the question bank and see, in effect, have we completed the entire question bank also of 30 questions over there, right? So 30 questions over there. 1 to 6 was regarding the due diligence, right? Then 7 to 24 or something was 7 to 23 was regarding the investigations, and then 24 to 30 is regarding the forensic audit. Okay, right? So one by one, now let's start having the discussion regarding this forensic audit. Okay, right? So now coming to the first question. What is the first question which we need to discuss? What is the meaning of the forensic audit, right? What is the first question that we need to discuss is regarding the meaning of the forensic audit. Okay, so it says the word forensic has been derived from the word, Latin word, yes, which says, which is suitable on or before the forum, which is suitable for use on or before the forum. Forensic means what? Something which is suitable for use in front or in the forum, right? Suitable for use in the forum. What do you mean by forum over here? Means it is suitable for use as an evidence in the courts of law, which is suitable for use as an evidence in the courts of law. It is suitable for use as an evidence in the court of law. Right, so it says forensic audit. Whatever are your findings of the forensic audit, they help you, they assist you in the legal matters, right? They help you, they assist you in the legal matters, right? So evidence which can be used in the court of law, which can be used in the court proceedings. So now, generally audit, what evidence I get is sufficient, appropriate audit evidence, okay, in an audit. Right, in an investigation, the evidence which I get is, say, like the conclusive or the most conclusive evidence. Right, in an investigation, I get the conclusive or the most conclusive evidence possible over there. In an audit, we get the persuasive evidence. But what happens in case of the forensic audit? The evidence which you get in the forensic audit can be used as an evidence in the courts of law also. So like, I can call it as the legal evidence. And it can be served as an evidence. You can present it in the court of law as an evidence. So it is suitable for use in the court proceedings. And it is suitable for use on or before the forum. Evidence in the courts of law to assist in the legal matters. That is to assist in the court proceedings. That is the concept of the word forensic. Okay. Now, what does the chartered accountant do in forensic audit? He makes use not only of his financial skills, but he also makes use of his investigative mentality. So it says the use of the financial skills and the investigative mentality put together makes the concept of the forensic auditing. Financial skills and the investigative mentality. And next definition is so big. It says the use of accounting. So not only your auditing, your accounting, then your auditing and your investigation skills, the use of the auditing, accounting and the investigation skills to assist in the legal matters. That is the best possible definition we could have of the forensic audit. What does it say? The use of auditing, accounting, the use of accounting, auditing and investigative skills to assist in the legal matters. And basically we are having three terms over there. One term we have is the forensic account or accounting. Then another term we have is the forensic audit. Right, we have another term called as the forensic audit, and then we have a term called as the forensic investigation. But it is, A is equal to B, B is equal to C. That is why A is equal to C and A is equal to B is equal to C. So whether they use the term forensic accounting or forensic audit or forensic investigation, does it mean one and the same only? Yes, it means one and the same only. Why? Because what did we say? Accounting, auditing and investigative skills. So forensic accounting, forensic auditing and forensic investigation all means one and the same. Right, so what is the difference? Okay, in an investigation, I may come across some finding through which I detect a fraud. But that fraud which I detected, can I prove it in the court of law? Maybe not. Can it be used as an evidence in the court of law? No. But if I've done a forensic audit and now if I've got some evidence, now that can be used as an evidence in the courts of law? Yes, it can be used as an evidence in the court of law. Right? So that is the importance or the significance of the word forensic, right? So forensics, they've always been in use, like mainly in case of, again, I told you those murders or crimes which take place, right? Lot of forensics are done over there. Lot of laboratory testing is involved over there, right? So we are also going to study regarding the different techniques that may be used in the forensic accounting, auditing, or the investigation, right? What are the different techniques to be used? Okay, right. Here, along with forensic audit, they also talk about a concept of a fraud audit. Now, fraud audit is where specifically you are looking for any fraudulent transactions. Like I told you, the petrol pump, the rounding of error. Right, so that's where specifically you're looking for the fraudulent transaction, but that's not a forensic audit. Why? Because forensic audit means it has to be used as an evidence in the court of law. This fraud audit, you're only finding out the fraudulent transaction. You're not using as an evidence in the court of law. And then it says there might be some red flags. What do you mean by a red flag over here? It says it is nothing but a fraud risk indicator. And it's nothing but a fraud risk factors due to which there is a risk of fraud, which we had studied in SA 240. Like simple example of a red flag, there is huge amount of competition or the demand for the company's product has gone down. So if there is a red flag, does that mean that there is a fraud? If there is a red flag that there is huge competition in the company or there is huge amount of decline in the demand for company product, is it that there is 100% there is a fraud? No, there are higher chances of occurrence of fraud in such a situation, right? So it's only a red flag only keeps the auditor on high alert. Okay, auditor, you better be more alert. Auditor, you better be more careful. Are you understanding that? Right, so that is the concept. First, the introductory talk regarding the forensic word, right? What is forensic, which can be used as an evidence in the court of law to assist in the legal matters, which can be used as an evidence in the court proceedings. Do you understand that, everyone? Right, so on or before the forum, which can be used as an evidence before the forum. Which forum am I talking about over here? The courts of law. Right, the courts of law. Okay, right. So what does it say? The use of science or technology in the investigation and establishment of fact. Now, what we had studied, establishment of fact was nothing but our investigation also. But now what does it say? Or evidence in a court of law. So use of science or technology in the investigation and establishment of a fact, and using that evidence in the court of law. And what is the meaning of the word forensic? Suitable for use in the court of the law. It is the use of the financial skills and the investigative mentality to the unresolved issues. And what is forensic auditing, they say over there, right? Accounting, auditing, and investigative skills to assist in the legal matter. This is the definition of forensic auditing. Are you all with me? Right, this is the definition of the forensic auditing. Use of the accounting, auditing, and investigative skills to assist in the legal matters. That is forensic auditing. Next definition what we have over there is the forensic accounting. It is the study and interpretation of the accounting evidence, right? The accounting evidence. It is the application of the accounting methods to the tracking and collection of the forensic evidence, usually for the investigation and prosecution of the criminal acts such as the embezzlement or the fraud. And forensic accounting can sometimes be referred to as the forensic auditing. So what does that mean? B is equal to A. You know what was A? Forensic auditing. What is B? Forensic accounting. And then what does it say? Forensic investigation, also known as forensic audit. Right, so this is C. So now what they say, A is equal to C. That is why what I told you, A is equal to B is equal to C. Forensic accounting, forensic auditing, forensic investigation, terminology little bit here and there, but they all mean one and the same thing. Are you able to understand this? Okay, right. Also known as forensic audit is an examination of documents and the interviewing of the people to extract the evidence. And forensic accounting, now here also they put the word forensic accounting and forensic investigation, examines individual or company financial records as an investigative measure that attempts to derive evidence again suitable for use in the litigation, right? Suitable for use in the litigation. So again, same point being said. And then I told you there are these two different terms over there. What are the two different terms over there? Fraud auditing and the red flag, right? So fraud auditing is used to identify the fraudulent transaction, not to figure out how they were created. Fraud auditors often go outside the books to find the fraudulent transaction, and a fraud audit is not an investigation, and obviously it's not even a forensic audit also. You're just trying to find out the fraudulent transactions in a fraud audit. Okay, right? And red flag, what is a red flag? Are signs or warning of the impending danger or the inappropriate behavior. Like, I told you one employee of the company having a salary of 12,000 per month, and he is having the latest iPhone, and he's having all the branded clothes, right? So that's a red flag. Okay, how come this employee is managing, the changes in the behavior or the lifestyle of the employee is an indicator of fraud, right? So what does it say? It's a warning of an impending danger or an inappropriate behavior. Red flag do not necessarily indicate the existence of a fraud, however, are indications that caution needs to be exercised while investigating the situations. Red flags are classified in categories such as the financial performance red flag, accounting system red flag, operational red flag, and the behavioral red flag, right? So again, could this be an MCQ in your exams? Yes. What are the types of red flags? Okay, financial performance, last year 20 crore, this year 120 crore. You say, oh my god, and how come so much the financial performance has improved? All of a sudden, accounting system, they've changed their accounting policies. Operational, operational is, again, we saw so many types of the operational level frauds being taking place, and a lot of sales being recorded, and then the sales return and higher commission being booked. So operational level frauds, tampering of checks, and so, right? And then you have the behavioral, that there is a change in the behavior of the employees working in the company. Right. So what are these? These are the types of the red flags. What are the types of the red flags they have over there? The financial, the accounting, the operational, and the behavioral, right? So these are the types of the red flags, right? Financial performance red flags, the accounting system red flags, the operational red flags, and the behavioral red flags. Is it clear to everyone? Okay, right. So that completes our initial discussion. So out of one page of content written over there, what is the crux of what you need to understand? What do you mean by the word forensic? Evidence which can be used in the courts of law, which is suitable for use before the forum to assist in the legal matters, which can be used in the court proceedings, the use of the financial skills and the investigative mentality. And also, what does it say? The use of auditing, accounting, and investigative skills to assist in the legal matters. Will you remember that much? The use of the accounting, auditing, and the investigative skills to assist in the legal matters is the concept of the forensic audit. So do you understand forensic audit, the word? And okay, what type of audit is this? Like, we know what is an internal audit, we know what's a stat audit, we know what's a tax audit. Now here what we are studying, forensic audit. So what type of audit is being done? An audit is being done. Okay, by performing this audit, we will get the evidence, and with that evidence, we'll go to the court of law, right? And we can fight in the court of law also. Is it clear to everyone? Okay, right. So now coming to the second discussion regarding this forensic audit, which is right now super trending in the exam, 3 times asked in the exam, the distinguish between the other audits versus the forensic audit. Are you understanding that difference between the other audits versus the forensic audit? Some time back, what did we study? Right, the difference between the audit and investigation. Do you remember that? Right, the difference between the audit and the investigation. Did we distinguish between the audit and the investigation over there? Right, the objective and scope, periodicity and nature, inherent limitations, evidence, objectivity, appointing agency, and the reporting authority to whom you need to report. Now what we need to discuss over there is the distinguish between the other audits. So other audits, mainly they are talking about the stat audit only versus the forensic audit. Are you understanding that? Now they are talking about the distinguish between the other audits versus the forensic audit, right? Other audits versus the forensic audit. Are you, is it clear to everyone? Okay, right. So now other audits, why conducted, and forensic audit, why conducted, right? So other audits, why they are conducted? Either they are mandatory, either they are mandatory or they could be voluntary. right? And they measure compliance with the reporting standards. What is the reporting standard? AFRF. Right? Why are forensic audit conducted? In response to an event. It is a financial investigation, and finding can be used as an evidence in the court or to resolve any dispute. Right? So what is the first question over there? Why these audits are conducted? Now, other audit, when they are writing over there, in the first one, they say other audit may be mandatory or voluntary. Like, for a partnership firm, audit is not compulsory that way. And the mandatory or voluntary. So other audits, but mainly with other audit, which audit are they referring to is nothing but our bread and butter, stat audit. Mainly they are referring to our stat audit. So why it is conducted? Statutory audit is other audits mandatory or voluntary in compliance with the measures, compliance with the reporting standards. Why forensic? Right? In response to an event, financial investigation can be used as an evidence in the courts of law or to resolve the disputes. Okay, then objective of the other audits is what? True and fair view. And here what is the objective? To check whether the fraud has taken place, right? So that is the second one. Why it is conducted, and again, if it is conducted, what are the objectives, right? So why it is conducted, and if it is conducted, what are the objectives behind doing the other audits and the forensic audit? Are you understanding that? Why it is conducted and what are the objectives? Okay, then if it is conducted, now you decided, okay, no, we have to do it. We have to do the other audit or the forensic audit. So other audits, how do you do it? By doing substantive and compliance. You remember compliance procedures, substantive procedures, TOC and substantive. And a TOC 4 name and substantive 4 types. You remember that, everyone? Right. So substantive and compliance. Whereas in case of forensic audit, investigative, substantive and in-depth checking. Right, so what are the techniques over here? Substantive and compliance. Here, investigative, substantive, and the in-depth checking is to be done. Right, then you say, okay, now we have to do it, so we'll do it. So how to do it? Substantive and compliance. Then for what period you do it? Generally, we do it for a particular accounting period. So next 2 points over there are what? The techniques and the period. So if it is to be done, then it is to be done for, right? What techniques will you use? And if it is to be done, then for what period will you do the same? Right? For what period it will be done? Are you understanding, everyone? Right. Then after that, what does it say? In the other audit, what do? Your verification of stock, estimation, realizable value of asset, liability. And it says you rely on the management certificate, management representation. So you rely on the management representation. But here you do an independent verification. So here you rely in the other audits. But in forensic audit, do you rely on anybody? No. What you do an independent verification of the suspected selected items where misappropriation is suspected, right? Where the misappropriation is suspected. Now, the heading given, this is as per the study material of ICAI. What they have written in the study material, same heading: verification of stock, estimation, realizable value of assets, liability, provision, and so. But the content next to it is what? In other audits, you rely on the management representation. In forensic audit, you don't rely on God also. And you don't rely on anybody. What do you say? Independent verification of the suspected selected items where misappropriation is suspected. Are you understanding that? Okay. Then after doing this verification, you're also going to do the verification of the off-balance sheet items. Now, off-balance sheet items, it says in other audits, your focus is on the arithmetical accuracy and compliance with the procedures, right? Your focus is on the mathematical accuracy and compliance with procedures, means AFRF. Right, and here your focus is not only on mathematical accuracy or the regulatory compliance with procedures. Your focus is on the regulatory and the propriety of these transactions are examined. You remember the word propriety, decision making. And the decision making of the management is put into question in the forensic audit. Are you understanding that? So here what happens, though the point written over here is what? Verification and off balance sheet. That has nothing to do with the content over there. And a verification and the off balance sheet. Is it right? Right. In verification, what does it say? Here you rely on the written representation. Here what you do an independent verification. Are you getting that, everyone? Right. Then here off balance sheet, you check the mathematical accuracy and also the compliance with the reporting standards, right? And the compliance. And here in case of the forensic audit, what is checked is the regulatory and the propriety aspects, right? The regulatory and the propriety aspects are examined, right? The regulatory and the propriety aspects are examined. You know one thing in life that yes, boss is always right. So if boss says these are the points to be written in the answer, these are the only points we should write in the answer. So why it is conducted? Then if it is to be conducted, what is the objective? If this is the objective, what techniques to be followed? These techniques, then for what period should we do it? Then what verification should be done? Then what about the off balance sheet item? Then what if I have any adverse finding? What if you have any adverse finding in an audit? You give a negative or a qualified opinion. Here what you do, you go to the courts of law, legal determination of the fraud. Right? So in other audits, if you have an adverse finding, what do? You give a qualified or an adverse opinion. And in forensic audit, what you do? Right, qualified or an adverse opinion, and here you do a legal determination of the fraud. That means it might lead to the legal proceedings. Are you understanding that? Right. So obviously when you're doing these audits, what is the difference in your mindset? Here your mindset is of professional skepticism. Here your mindset is of the investigative mentality. And what is the extent of checking? Here it depends upon the effectiveness of the internal control, and here you can even focus more even on the seemingly immaterial transactions, right? So mindset and extent of checking, those are the last 2 points. What is the difference in the mindset and what is the extent of the checking, right? So what is the mindset in case of the other audits? Professional skepticism. Your investigative mentality. Here depends upon the effectiveness of the internal control, and here you can go for checking the immaterial transactions also, right? Even the immaterial transactions may be checked in great detail. Okay, right. So these are the points of distinguish between the other audits and the forensic audit, right? What has come 3 times in the exam? Both of them have come 3 times in the exam. Distinguish between audit and investigation has come 3 times, and recently what has come 3 times is the distinguish between the other audits versus the forensic audit. You should not write anything on your own, so you have to do the writing practice for this one. Which one you need to do the writing practice for? The other audits versus the forensic audit, right? Other audits versus the forensic audit. What is the first point of distinction over there? Why it is conducted, right? It is mandatory. It is, this is mandatory, or it could be voluntary. It is to measure compliance with the reporting standards, and this is in response to an event, है ना? Right. Then what is the objective over here? To express an opinion on the true and fair view. Here to check whether a fraud has taken place. Is it clear to everyone? Now that it is to be done, then what are the techniques which may be used? Right? What are the techniques that may be used? Right, here it says the substantive and the compliance. Here investigative in-depth examination system checking is required to be done. Right, then for what period will you do this checking? Normally for a particular accounting period. And here what does it say? No such limitations. Right, then after that 2 points, very weird and different points over there. Why weird and different? Because they talk about verification and the off balance sheet items, and a verification and the off balance sheet items. In verification, what do they talk about over there? In the verification, rely on the management representation. Here they say you need to do an independent verification, right? Here you need to do the independent verification. Then off balance sheet items, here you check for the mathematical accuracy and the compliance. Here the regulatory and the propriety aspects are to be examined. Right. Then after that, if you have adverse findings in other audit, what you do? Issue qualified or adverse. Your legal determination of the fraud. Then what is the difference in your mindset and also the extent of the checking, right? And also the extent of the checking. I am teaching you how to study, how to learn, or how to prepare for a theory subject. I read it once. Right. Then after I read it, I try to analyze, I fragment it, I dissect whatever content is over there. Then after that, I try to look into the points. And then when I've written this 3-4 times, obviously automatically the flow will come when I write the answer in the exam. Right? And is this an important one? Super important. And if this is not possible for you, you can do a simple thing in life. Open the textbook, open the notebook and copy paste. Copyright, very important one. The difference between the other audits and the forensic audit, and how you can make life more interesting over there. Okay, you don't only look into distinguish between other audits and forensic audit, you also look into the distinguish between the audits and the investigation. There, what did it say? Objective and scope, periodicity and nature, inherent limitations and the evidence, and then observance of accounting principle, who is the appointing agency and to whom you report. Right? So that is why should you bang them against each other? Rather, you should study it this way: audit versus investigation and audit versus the forensic audit. Right? You should check them against each other. Right? And what happens? No, audit versus investigation is an old content, so that continues as it is. Other audits, forensic audit is a new introduction in the syllabus, right? So that is more improvised version over there. Right? How many questions regarding forensic audit we need to discuss? 8 questions. So have we discussed first question? Meaning of forensic audit. Second question, have we discussed? Distinguish between the other audits versus the forensic audit. Now meeting this fellow who is called as the forensic auditor. And now regarding this forensic auditor, we have the 5 questions over there. Are you all with me? Right. Now, a forensic auditor, right? So now you're not a statutory auditor, you're not an internal auditor, not a tax auditor, but you are a forensic auditor, is often retained. Why do they keep him? It says to analyze, interpret, summarize, and present complex financial and business related issues in a manner which is both understandable and properly supported. Forensic accountants are trained to look beyond the numbers and deal with the business reality of the situation. You know why? What is the reason I'm reading this? Okay, in the exam, when they'll make a question, they'll write the story. And a forensic auditor is often retained to analyze, interpret, summarize, and present complex financial business. He is retrained to look beyond the numbers and deal with the business reality of the situation. So tell us what now. So briefly discuss what is the importance of the forensic auditor. So you think, oh my God, what wordings they've used? Nothing wording from the study material they've copy pasted. You understand? And then they simply ask you regarding what is the importance of the forensic auditor or where he is involved or engaged in. Right? So he could be engaged in the public practice or he could be employed by the insurance company. Insurance company, the forensic auditors, they have a very interesting role. And in insurance, there is a concept of the term insurance. And a term insurance, like, say term insurance premium, example, say I'm saying 40,000. And if there is a sudden death of the policy holder, then whoever are the survivors of the policy holder, they get 1 crore or 2 crore, and whatever money from the insurance company. So look at the invest, what you say, look at the return. Okay, you just give 40,000 rupees and somebody gives you 1 crore rupees. So now what people do, they change their form, they change their PAN, they change their name, they change their detail, right? They take a policy, and then after that they go to another country, right? They take a term insurance policy, say they take a term insurance policy of 5 crore, right, in India, and then they leave India and they go to another country, right? In that other country, they find out somebody who is terminally ill, who is about to be dead, who's about to die, and that family is in need of funds. So he says, whenever this person dies, they know next 8-10 days or whatever days this person is going to die. He stays in one house nearby in that area over there. And when they say, when this person is about to die, he says, I will give you 5 lakh rupees. Whenever this person dies, it will be shown as if I have died. Okay, right. Then after that, the needful happens and the obituary is printed in the newspaper, death certificate is received and all of that. And then he sends all these documents to the Indian relative or the survival of the policy holder over here. And then they claim the 5 crore rupees from the insurance company. So you give 40,000 or 1 lakh, 2 lakh rupees and you get 5 crore rupees from the insurance company. Right? So sometimes insurance company, if it arouses suspicion for them. Now see, it's a very sensitive matter to tell somebody that no, they have not died only. You understand? No, it's very difficult to say. Like the survivor of the policy holder, they go to the insurance company and insurance company says, no, you're telling me lie, that person has not died only. So there has to be some reason or ground for suspicion for the insurance company or so. And then they appoint a forensic auditor, and the forensic auditor, they also don't get evidences because the people who do the fraud take a lot of steps, in order to hide that fraud. By the time the step comes for the forensic audit and also already that person person has changed his name 5 to 6 times. You understand, already 5 to 6 passports and all the identity cards and all have been generated, like big fraudster schemes over there. Change line of business also getting into. So it's very, very difficult. It's a very hard task for the forensic auditor to find out such situations. So what they do, they stay in that area. Somehow they get some evidence about some ticket booking being done from particular location. Then through that ticket booking, they go and reach into that area. Once they reach over there, then they will stay over there for a few days. They will familiarize themselves with the people who are staying in that area. Then after that, some person opens up the mouth and they say something over there. Ke, oh yeah, there was this fellow who came here and he was very good hearted. He gave us 5 lakh rupees when somebody died. Then you get the hint from there, and then it proceeds further and gets back to India. And obviously that person goes to jail or imprisonment or something. But these are the types of work. So like forensic is much beyond audit and much beyond your investigation also. Here, what does it say? To look into the business reality, and to look into the business reality of the situation. What does it say? Both understandable and properly supported. The complex business related issues. Right? So they are engaged in public practice, insurance company, banks, police forces, government agencies, and the other organizations. Okay. Right. So forensic auditor is often involved in. So now what is he involved in, right? So now we have to remember this with the words itself. So what is he involved in? He is involved in investigating the financial evidence, detecting the financial fraud, and tracing the misappropriated funds. So one, he is involved in the financial evidence, financial frauds, and investigating the misappropriated funds. Then developing computerized applications to assist in the recovery, analysis, and the presentation of financial evidence. Like lately, if you see, on the income tax website, when you have to pay your TDS or advance tax or something, earlier the entire drop down of all the banks used to come. Now hardly 3-4 banks are coming in that drop down over there. So what happened? Because people started doing a fraud. And whenever you have to put your card details or net banking or debit card details to pay the advance tax TDS, and people started doing the fraud. So now it is the other way around. You go to your banking website, internet banking website, then in your banking website you go to the option of pay tax, then from the pay tax they bring you to the income tax website, and then you again go back to the corporate net banking and then do the payment of the tax. Earlier what was the procedure? That directly you go on the income tax website, you put your net banking details and you can do the payment. Now they have go to and fro. You go to your bank website, from there they will send you to income tax website, from income tax website you again come to the bank website, and then you make the payment over there. Why? Because they identified that so many fraudsters are doing so many different types of fraud over there, right? So computerized application, so they develop computerized application to assist in the recovery, analysis, and the presentation of, again, what? The financial evidence. Okay, then either review the internal controls to verify their adequacy or providing the consultation. So again, these fellows are reviewing internal controls and also providing the consultation for design and implementation of an internal control framework. So one, they are looking into the financial, second, they are looking into the internal control, and then they also assist in legal proceedings, testifying as an in court as an expert witness and providing the visual aids to support the trial evidence, right? So that is the ultimate role, to provide the expert testimony, right? So what are they involved in? They are involved in analyzing the financial evidence. Then they also develop computer applications. They also review the internal controls, and they also assist in the legal proceedings. Okay, now this is how it has been given in the study material. Okay, these are the headings given over there, and these are what are the points given in front over there, right? So what are the points? Financial evidence, computerized application, internal control, and the legal proceedings. Okay, right, now this is where the forensic auditors may be involved in. What they may be involved in? Analyzing financial evidence. Then, right, then after that, what does it say over there, everyone? Right, to develop the computerized application, then to review the internal controls, to assist in the court proceedings and the legal proceedings. Okay, now what does it say? What is the importance of the forensic auditor? So what is the importance of the forensic auditor? One, they help in the prevention, detection of the fraud, and obviously the risk management. Second, filing, court, and investigative methodologies. That means their work can be used in the courts of law. Then they can also help you with the internal control system. Then they also help in the evidence collection and the analysis. So can I correlate these points with the points upstairs? Right, financial evidence. Then this is the point regarding the internal control. Then what does it say? The filing in the courts and all of that, right? Court systems and so. Then professional body to provide the expertise and literature in this fast growing field. Rather, ICAI is the first in the world to come up with the FAIS, the Forensic Accounting and Investigation Standards. Right, they have released the FIS 1, FIS 2, FIS 3. I don't know whether it will be applicable later on for your syllabus, but yeah, they have already issued this, the Forensic Accounting and Investigation Standards. So just as you have a standard on auditing, you have a standard on internal audit, you also have the forensic accounting and the investigation standards which have been released by the ICAI. Currently, they've issued some 16 standards over there, right? The forensic accounting and investigation standards. Okay, right? So again, what does it say? Providing expertise and literature in this fast growing field, and then communicating with audiences from attorneys and judges to victims and suspects, right? So this is what the importance of the forensic auditor. What is the, you say, what big fellow, what is so much important about him? So he helps in fraud prevention and detection, then all the court proceedings, then internal control system, then analysis of the evidences, then also providing the literature on this fast growing field, and last, what does it say? Communicating with audiences. And who are their audiences? Right, the attorneys and judges to victims and suspects. Okay, right, then another question already asked in your exam, so 5-star, is regarding the services rendered by the forensic auditor. And when I read these points, pay attention everyone, it literally makes me think like as if this forensic auditor is nobody but an advocate. For the advocate lawyer, they wear that black color, the white and black coat, and over there, and then they go in the court and they say, my lord, and then they present, the confession box is there, they'll ask a question to the opposite party, then they will reply, then they'll say, I want to, then the judge sitting over there, it's adjourned for today, all that court proceedings. So here, literally, when I look at the forensic auditor, what work he's doing over here, it looks exactly like he's doing the work of a lawyer or an advocate. Because first, what he is doing, he's crafting the question. Okay, what question we'll ask to that opposite party, right? If they ask us a question, what reply are we supposed to give? So crafting the question and responding to the question. Now, in order to craft the question and respond to the question, they have to identify the documents and they have to identify the individual. To identify the documents and to identify the individual, they have to conduct the research and they have to obtain the key evidence. Then once they obtain the key evidence, they have to evaluate the produced documentation and analyze the produced records. And still, if they don't get the satisfactory evidence, then what they need to do? Just a minute, I've already used this. Yes, then in that case, what do they need to do? The alternative means to obtain the facts and information, and also providing the questions for deposition. That means for counter, counter asking to the other party, right? Providing the questions for deposition and cross-examination of the facts and the expert witness, right? So that's again a question already asked in your exams, right? So does the forensic auditor look very much like an advocate? Crafting the question. Okay, we will ask this question to that party. Okay, where were you at 3 o'clock? And then that other party, if they ask us okay, where you were at 3 o'clock, and the lawyer tells the party, you will not say a word more than what I have told you. Okay, only what I have told you, only that much you're going to say in the court of law. So responding to the question. Now, if to craft a question, respond a question, you have to identify the individual. What they say in the court, I would like to prove one evidence. I would like to present one justice over here or present one proof over here. So identify the document, identify the individual. To identify, you have to conduct the research. When you do the research, you will get the key evidences. Those evidences, what you need to do? You need to evaluate the documentation. You need to analyze the produced records. And then also, what does it say? Identifying the alternative means and providing the questions for the deposition. That is to ask to the opposite party, right? So this is a question already asked. Don't, trouble yourself too much. Simply, happily, just learn this. and a service is rendered by the forensic auditor. Are you understanding that? Okay. Next one, characteristics of forensic auditor. Our dear institute, what did it do? It say, which of the following, hey, listen to me carefully, which of the following is not a characteristic of the forensic auditor? And they said out of the box thinking, persistence, right? Then data analytics and the discretion. Now, to you know. Now, to if now you would have given wrong answer, I would have told you bye bye. You understand? No. Now, to very easy for you. But exam में no be to say characteristics, what it is, and skills, what it is. What is this matter all about? You understand? No, the characteristics and the skills of the forensic auditor. And now this is just one variety of question which I created for you. Likewise, they can go with different permutation, combination of questions over there. Did everybody understand the question that I created? Which of the following is not a characteristic of the forensic auditor? Which was not a characteristic? Data analytics is not a characteristic, that is a skill of the forensic auditor. Okay, so then what is characteristics? All goody words. And all the good words about a person. You say, oh my God, meet this CA sparkle, out of the box thinking, strong visualization and imagination, very curious, very persistent, very creative, very discreet, detail oriented, inquisitiveness. And a curiosity means obviously inquisitiveness, very skeptical, very confident, and sound professional judgment. So again, the professional skepticism, professional judgment, and curiosity and inquisitiveness. And then what does it say? Out of the box thinking. That means you're very creative. And that means again the strong visualization and the imagination. Then what does it say? Persistence means what? You are detailed oriented, right? Persistence means what? You are detailed oriented, and you're very persistent. You don't give up very easily. And then you apply your discretion, where to say what. Some people, they don't have the sense, no, where to say what. Or everybody has the sense of where to say what. Some people, they don't have it. You need to develop it over a period of time. Okay, right? So they apply their discretion, and they also have the confidence in whatever they do. Right? Characteristics, how it is? Is it in the box? Oh my God, why did we write it in the box? It's out of the box. So what you do, you draw a box and you write it out of the box. Because you can't write it inside the box. It is out of the box. Don't write in the box. Where will you write it? Out of the box. Is that creativity? Is that strong visualization and imagination? Is there discretion? Is there confidence? Is there persistence? Is there detail oriented? Is it skepticism? Is it sound professional judgment? Enough for now. That much is the characteristics of the forensic auditor. Now coming to the skill. You say, Areva, what is the definition of the forensic audit? Where it went? What is the definition? Auditing, accounting, and the investigative skills to assist in the legal matter. So this fellow very good with auditing standards, very good with accounting standards. Then he is also very good with the information technology, and along with information technology we also have the data analytics. Are you understanding that? Right. Then after that he is very good with the criminology, legal framework, litigation process and procedures. Right? So auditing and accounting, is that a characteristic? No, that is not out of the box. That is in the box. That has to be in the head. Auditing standards, can it be out of the head? No, it has to be in the head, no? Then accounting principles and business reporting system, yes. Then information technology, data analytics, yes. Criminology, legal framework, litigation process and procedures. And then what you have is the investigative techniques, the evidence gathering, and most important thing in life which is required, the biggest asset which will ever be there in the balance sheet of your life is the network of professional contacts. Right? The biggest asset in your balance sheet. There cannot be any asset bigger than this. Okay, anything happens and you have 5 people who will come and stand for you, then that's the biggest asset you have in your balance sheet. Okay, right? So network of professional contacts. And again, going on a personal, another point of discussion over there, CA course now creates a big problem with creating good friendships. Why? Because ek to somebody clears immediately, somebody clears after few attempts. So there that friendship ka link breaks. BCom में everybody sailing same together. First to 10 standard also together. CA what happens? The friendship breaks due to that reason. Then you are in different offices also. And then articleship is also done in different offices. Then classes also. Somebody says this faculty good, somebody says that faculty good. You understand? So there are a lot of reasons for friendships not happening. You know, you are isolated from the world. And every time you sit in the class, 20 days you are sitting next to that person is your friend, and the rest of your life you don't see that person ever again. Then you go to another class and sit over there, again that person sitting over there for 20 days, you share all your sorrows and happiness, again after 20 days, never see that person in life again. Never see them. Then GMCS course, you meet somebody. Orientation course, you meet somebody. You know the entire world, but nobody knows you. You understand? No. So you, like, it's your personal call. The best company you can have is of your own. There's no company like your own company. But there should be some intangible assets like this in life. Don't you think so? Okay, don't lose the connect. Now, what harm does it take for you once in a while just to say, hi, how is audit standard study going on? So, what is the problem? No problem, no. Friendship will be maintained. Reason will be audit subject. No? You can just ask, hi, how is audit study going on? You remember importance of forensic auditor, out of the box, not to write in the box. Just send a normal message, na? How much time you'll see Netflix, yeah? 3 hours. 2 minutes you cannot. Don't become friend with anybody. Always become a friend with a person whom you want to become like. No, never, always keep high standards for everything. Don't look down on anybody. Don't look down. Everybody is great. But always, you should be having you should be someone who everybody wants to make friendship with. And then you should also be knowing regarding, you just can't entertain and be like an entertainer over there or a social worker over there doing friendship with everybody and all of that. This is not to do that type of madness also. But yes, because CA course, you don't have any college functions, you don't have any community activities happening over there. Very, what do you say, separate, dispersed course which is being conducted. So that is why you ensure that you have a few of these intangible. And at this age, it is easy to create friendship. Later on, you're very rigid. Then to everything very clear and all of that. So then it becomes more different. Again, in office you meet different people, and again different journeys happen. Okay, right. So anyways, what we are talking about is the skills of the forensic auditor, right? So will you have a few intangibles in your balance sheet? Okay, right. Okay, right. So skills of the forensic auditor. So what are skills? Skill is inside the brain. Characteristics was out of the brain. Not out of the brain, out of the box. Okay, right. This is inside the brain. What is inside the brain? Auditing standards, accounting and business reporting system, information technology and the data analytics, then criminology, legal framework, litigation processes and the procedures, then investigative mentality, evidence gathering, and the network of the professional contacts in the related fields like enforcement, regulatory bodies, law, industry, peers, etc. Clear to everyone? Okay, right. Then coming to question number 4, which is regarding the services rendered by the forensic accountant or the auditor, right, where they are in great demand. Okay, let us address this one question. Okay, can characteristics of the forensic auditor come as a 5-mark or a 4-mark question in the theory part of the paper? What is your opinion? Let us take a survey. Audience poll. Let me prepare my justification. MCQ में ही आएगा. No, it will not come in theory part of the paper. Okay, as you say, you have to go in the exam hall. I don't have to go. I have already been there. Okay, right. If you look at the small chapter over there, where is that small chapter? Wait, it's coming. There's this small chapter over there regarding this automated environment. Hey, listen to me carefully. In that automated environment, no, there is one small discussion regarding the enterprise risk management. I'll show it to you over here. Okay, right. This is the automated environment chapter. In that 17.5 is the enterprise risk management. In that enterprise risk management, ERM, there is one 3 lines over here, which is examples of risks. And what are the risks? It says MOCE, market risk, operational risk, then the credit risk and the environmental risk. Then you have the two words, regulatory and compliance, technology and security. And then after that we have the, right, the financial reporting, the business partner, and the product or the project risk. Right, these are the examples of risk given in the chapter of the automated environment under the heading of the enterprise risk management. What is given over there is the examples of the risk. Okay, if I come to the question bank, what does our question bank say? 5 marks, May 2019. State the various risks which an enterprise may have to face and manage. So simple examples of risk under enterprise risk management overview. They are only asking you to give a list of those risks over there. So based on this, I think that characteristics of forensic auditor can also be asked as a question. This is my basis, this is my evidence on the basis of which I think so. And okay, it could be coming as a retail question. Look at your faces as if what I am doing. Okay, right. But I'm just putting the reality in front of you. Has it come as a 5 mark question? Well, did I give you conclusive evidence? I gave you no conclusive evidence that it has come as a 5 mark question in the exam. Okay. Now let us come back to forensic audit, because we finish forensic audit, then we come to internal control. What are you talking about? Hmm. ठीक है. Right. So now let's come to the services rendered by the forensic auditor or the forensic accountant. Now they've got some content to talk. Right now, don't make friendship. Friendship I told you later on. Okay, right now listen to me. Right, so services rendered by the forensic auditor. Now again, here already what they have said, services rendered, huh? By forensic auditor. Now again saying services rendered, ek to what they do, different foreign author book they pick up and they compile the content together. Even they forget what is already written and what is already not written. Oh, so much. Now forensic auditor are involved in. Then they say importance of forensic auditor. Then they say services rendered by forensic auditor. And you know, like services rendered by forensic auditor, what question they asked in the exam for services? BR Construction was into the business of building roads and other infrastructure facility for government contract. Tiwari, one of the senior official, was looking after the procurement of the cement required at the construction sites. There was a substantial increase in the price of the cement bag bought as compared to those bought prior to the appointment of Mr. Tiwari. The management of the company decides to get a forensic audit done for the transaction handled by Mr. Tiwari. What points should be kept in mind by the management while appointing a forensic auditor? I'm telling you, if I read this question, what comes to my mind? I should write regarding the characteristics and the skills of the forensic auditor. But no, in the RTP, what in the MTP also this question is there. What they have written, what point should be kept in mind while by management while appointing a forensic auditor? That he should be a very good advocate, that he should be a very good lawyer. Why he should be very good lawyer? Crafting question, responding to question, identifying document, identifying individual. See, it's not that you don't know the services rendered, but you should also know na ke boss, even if they ask this question, I have to write down those points of services rendered by the forensic accountant or forensic auditor. Are you able to follow everyone? Okay, right. So services rendered by the forensic auditor that we've discussed, characteristics and skills. So now coming to services rendered by the forensic accountant. And first, what do they say? Auditing, accounting, investigation, forensic all means one and the same. But now they say the services of the forensic accountant are in great demand. So what is going to be of great help for us in the exam if they use the word great demand? Then you have to know, okay, this is regarding the second set of services rendered. And then it has to be regarding the second set of the services rendered. Today, my words may not be getting the value or weightage or importance. You may not be realizing. But in the exam, when the question comes, you'll realize the importance of what I'm saying. right? So services rendered by the forensic accountant are in great demand. So, not only the content, even the first line in the answer is very, very important, or because that helps us to address the question, right? So they are in great demand in the following areas. What are those areas over there? ACP, CID, right? ACP, CID. A is one, you can use the forensic accountant for the arbitration services. Second, you can use them for the criminal investigation. Third, you can use them for the professional negligence cases. So ACP, what is ACP? Arbitration service, criminal investigation, and the professional negligence cases. And then you have the CID. C over there stands for the control reviews and the fraud investigation, right? Control reviews and the fraud investigation. I stands for the settlement of the insurance claim, right? I stands for the settlement of the insurance claim, right? I stands for the settlement of the insurance claim, and D stands for the dispute settlement, right? So this is C, I, and D, right? So ACP, CID. Are you understanding what is ACP, CID? A stands for the arbitration services. Then C stands for the criminal investigation. P stands for the professional negligence cases. Then C stands for control reviews and the fraud investigation. I stands for the settlement of the insurance claim, and D stands for the dispute settlement, right? So insurance settlement and the dispute settlement. Is it clear to everyone? ACP, CID. Services rendered by the forensic accountant are in great demand in the following areas, right? So matters relating to financial implications, the services of forensic accountants are availed of. The reports of the accountant are considered as an evidence. What type of an evidence? They are considered as a financial evidence, legal evidence over there. Then for professional negligence cases, what is professional negligence? NAFRA, and wherein it says that the CA has not done the audit in accordance with, where the NAFRA says that the CA has not done the audit as per the auditing standard. And they want to say that the chartered accountant has not done his work properly. So professional negligence cases are taken up by the forensic accountants. Non-conformation to the generally accepted auditing standards or non-compliance to the auditing practices or the ethical codes of any profession, they are needed to measure the loss due to such professional negligence or shortage in the services, right? So this is talking about our ethics guilty and a professional negligence. So who can prove that, oh, this chartered accountant, he has 512, 612, 712, 812, 912. You remember? Fails to disclose a material fact, report a material misstatement, does not exercise due diligence, fails to obtain sufficient information, or fails to invite attention. Who can prove this? It says forensic auditor, he can do that. With forensic accountant, he can do that. Okay. Then arbitration service and a mediation. If two people are fighting, if company and the labor union is fighting, who can mediate in between? Right? Who can mediate in between? The forensic accountant, right? So their expertise in data collection, evidence presentation makes them sought after in the specialized practice area, right? Then another area where they are called upon is the fraud investigation and the control review. So forensic accountants render services when called upon to investigate specific cases as well as for review of the implementation of the internal control. So internal control is one big area where you use the work of the forensic accountant to review the internal control. Then insurance companies engage the forensic accountants to have an accurate assessment of the claims to be settled. Like I told you, really has the person died, to check that. And in case of policy holders, seek the help of the forensic accountant, which they need to challenge the claim settlement. So they can be used by the insurance company also, forensic accountant, they can be used by the policy holders also. Insurance company to check the amount of the settlement, and by the policy holder to challenge the amount of the settlement, right? To challenge the amount of the settlement. And then dispute settlement. Business firms engage the forensic accountant to handle the contract dispute, construction claim, product liability claim, infringement of a patent, trademark, liability arising from the breach of contract, and so on, right? So that is regarding the dispute settlement, right? So what are the areas where the services of the forensic auditor are in great demand? Yes, everybody, can you tell me? ACPCID, arbitration service, then the criminal investigation, professional negligence cases, then the control reviews, fraud investigation, settlement of insurance claim, and the dispute settlement. Okay, right. Coming to question number 5, which is regarding the process of forensic accounting. Your process means nothing but the steps. And what did I tell you? Whenever we have steps, what you need to remember is the OPC, right? So initialization is nothing but the objective and the scope. But instead of objective and scope, here they call it as the initialization. Then based on the objective and scope, you prepare your plan. Based on the plan, you obtain the evidence. Based on the evidence, you perform the analysis. Based on the analysis, you prepare a report. And because it is forensic audit, you will use it as an evidence in the court of law. You will use it in the court proceedings. Are you able to get it, everyone? Right, so objective, then all this is the procedure, and the last 2 points, reporting and court proceedings, is the conclusions. Right, question again, wholesale and retail. Right, so total 3 times this question has come in the exam, so 5-star. And a process of forensic accounting. What is the process? First, initialization. Once you know objective and scope, you prepare the plan. Based on the plan, you obtain the evidence. Based on the evidence, you do the analysis of the findings. Based on the analysis of the findings, you prepare your report. And based on the report, then you say, I'm ready to now fight in the court of law. Right, it is used as an evidence in the court of law. Are you all able to follow this process of forensic accounting? Then actually they could have called it steps, no, but they say process of forensic accounting. What is the process? Initialization, develop the plan, obtain the relevant evidence, then perform the analysis, then the reporting, and then the court proceedings. Okay, so initialization. It is vital to clarify and remove all doubts as to the real motive, purpose, and utility of the assignment. Oh my God, real motive, purpose, and the utility of the assignment. It is useful, helpful to meet the client to obtain an understanding of the important facts, the players, and the issues at hand. A conflict check should be carried out as soon as the relevant parties are established. Conflict check means independence. Right? Conflict check means independence, whether you will be able to do an independent forensic audit or no. Right. Then after that, whatever knowledge you've gained with your meeting with the client, understanding, meet the client. Now, based on your meeting with the client, you will now be able to prepare your plan, right? Meeting with the client and carrying out the initial investigation, and will set out the objectives to be achieved and the methodology to be utilized to accomplish them. So initialization and the plan. Then based on the plan, now you will obtain the relevant evidence. Now depending on the nature of the case, this may involve locating the documents or the economic information, asset, a person or a company, another expert, or proof of the occurrence of an event, right? So depending on the nature, like I told you my example of that insurance company, that whether that person has really died, and that is what we had to check. And this evidence should be sufficient to ultimately prove what? Ultimately prove the identity of the fraudster. So when you see any last 10 minutes of any crime or that murder type of movie, in the last 10 minutes they'll reveal everything. And okay, what happened, how that person, how these, generally they murder some person, then they dig them somewhere, then how they, how they find it and all that. So in the last 10 minutes of the movie, so if you don't want to see the entire movie, you can see the last 10 minutes over there. Or your friend, if they want to spoil your fun of watching the movie, they can tell you, Arey, that fellow did the murder. You say, Arey, suspense only broken now. Okay, right. Anyways, right. So the evidence should be sufficient to ultimately prove the identity of the fraudster, right? The mechanism of the fraud scheme and the amount of the financial loss suffered. And investigators must be alert to documents being falsified, damaged, or destroyed by the suspects, right? So they try to manipulate the documents over there. So now what does it say? Obtain the relevant evidence. Then once you obtain the evidence, now you've got all the evidence with you. Based on this evidence, what you will do? Now you will perform the analysis. In the analysis, what you will do? One, you will do the calculating. Then second, what you will do is the summarizing. Then three, what you will do over there is the performing, and performing. And last one, what you will do over there is the two over there, utilizing and utilizing. Right, so something what we had done for planning and audit of CFS also, understanding, determining, coordinating. Here, what are the 4 words we have? Calculating, summarizing, performing, and utilizing. Calculating what? The economic damages. Like today morning, I told you petrol pump. You know, what was the economic damage? Then if there's a large number of transaction, what you do? Summarizing a large number of the transaction, then performing a tracing of the asset, then performing a present value calculation using the appropriate discount rate, then performing a regression or a sensitivity analysis. You remember regression sensitivity analysis? Some like this, the dots are drawn, you know, and then based on the dots there is a line which is created over there to build up an expectation, right? So performing a regression or a sensitivity analysis. Then now say nobody will understand your complex findings and everything, so now what you do? You utilize the computer application such as a spreadsheet or the database or a computer model, and you can also use the charts and graphics to explain your analysis, because layman cannot understand your analysis, so you make use of the charts and the graphics, right? So what is that? Performing the analysis, right? Has it already been asked as a retail question in your exams? Yes, right? So calculating economic damages, summarizing the large number of transactions, then performing the tracing of the asset, then the present value calculation, then regression or the sensitivity analysis, and then after that utilizing the, right, the computerized application and utilizing the charts and graphics to explain the analysis. Are you understanding? Calculating, summarizing, then performing, and then utilizing and utilizing. Okay, right. Then coming to the reporting. Again, a retail question already asked in your exams. Right, now here I don't know why they all of a sudden got the word fraud audit, but that is what they say. Issuing an audit report is the final step of a fraud audit, because in the beginning we discussed fraud audit. Here you're talking about process of forensic accounting, but then they mentioned over here, issuing a audit report is the final step of a fraud audit. Auditor will include information detailing the fraudulent activity. And what will the client expect in your report? Containing the findings of the investigation, including a summary of the evidence, a conclusion as the amount of the loss suffered as a result of the fraud, and to identify those who were involved in the fraud. So what will client expect in your report? Findings. Then the summary of the evidences on the basis of which you're giving the findings. Then because of this, how much is the loss suffered and who did the fraud? Identify those who have been involved in the fraud. Then the report may also include sections. What other sections may be there in the report? Nature of the assignment, scope of the investigation, the approach used, any limitation on scope. And the report may also include the schedules and graphics, right, to properly suggest, support and explain the findings. Okay, so what will the client expect and what your report may also include. Are you able to follow this, everyone? Right, then the report will also discuss. So the client will expect, report may include, and now the report will also discuss. What it will also discuss? How the fraudster set up the fraud scheme, which controls in the company were circumvented. Circumvented means what? Not followed. Which controls were not followed. It is also likely that the investigative team will also take the liberty to recommend improvements to the control within the organization to prevent any similar frauds occurring in the future. So they will not only give the findings, but they will also give the recommendations so that it doesn't again get repeated in the future. And now they are talking about the reporting to be done by the forensic auditor. It says in order that forensic auditor you issue a great report, you should be having active listening skills, which enable him to summarize the facts in the report. Why? Because your report should be based on the facts and not on the opinion. Right, so for that you should be having the active listening skills. It should be kept in mind that the report should be based on the facts assimilated during the process and not on the opinion of the person writing the report. Report should be based on the facts. It should not be based on the opinion of the person. I think so and so has happened. No, what you don't think, don't write that. Simply write what exactly has happened. Report should be based on the facts and not on the opinion of the person writing the report. Are you understanding that? Yes. And then you have the court proceedings. Whatever evidence has been obtained, that can be used in the court to describe the evidence and to explain how the suspect was identified. What is the question that we are discussing over here? The process of the forensic accounting. What is the process of forensic accounting? Initialization, then develop the plan, then obtain the relevant evidence, then perform the analysis, then the reporting, and then you have the court proceedings, right? And then you have the court proceedings. Okay, what are the retail questions asked over here in the exam? Right, perform analysis and the reporting. Okay, so you have been appointed as a forensic accountant in Secure Limited to carry out the various analysis as a part of your assignment to arrive at a particular result. Specify the various analysis which might have to be carried out by you to arrive at your result, right? So what is the analysis to be performed? Is this question a direct one? Perform analysis under process of forensic accounting. And now GSB Limited is into the business of construction for the past 25 years. Management of the company same came to know that building material sent to construction site was of the substandard quality, whereas the payment released by the accounts department of the company was on the higher side. Forensic auditor was asked to carry out the detailed investigation. Forensic auditor completed his investigation and now is preparing his report. What are the broad areas of information that needs to be incorporated in the report of the forensic auditor? So what are the broad areas of information? These are the broad areas of information. Are you understanding that? Right, so you can write and keep it over there. What are the broad areas of information? Right, so what are the broad areas of the investigation? They will expect a report containing the finding, the summary, the loss, and who did the fraud. Then also the report should have the nature, scope, the approach, limitation on scope, schedules, and graphics. Also the report should discuss how the fraudster set up the fraud scheme and which controls were circumvented. Also recommend the improvements to the controls within the organization, and he should have the active listening skills because the report should be based on the facts and not on the opinion of the person writing the report. Are you understanding this, everyone? Okay, right, so that completes our question number 5. What are we discussing? Yes, which heading are we discussing? The process of the forensic audit, right? So what have we discussed so far? Meaning other audits versus the forensic audit, then the forensic auditor, then the services rendered by forensic accountant are in great demand in which area, then the process of forensic accounting. We just finished discussing that. Now coming to the steps, right? What are the steps which we have over there? It says analytical steps, technology steps, and investigative steps, right? So ATI, what are the steps involved in the forensic audit? ATI, so out of your audit, right, forensic audit over there, you have A, T, and I over there, right? So A is the analytical, T is the technology, and I is the investigative steps. Now again, so confusing. Generally, whenever we talk about steps, we say OPC. But your step OPC is where? Process of forensic accounting. And here what are the steps which we have over there is the ATI. So what is the ATI? Analytical step. For analytical, understand the business, identify the possible fraud, and catalog the possible fraud symptoms. So understand, then where is there a possibility of fraud, and catalog, that is make a list of the fraud symptoms. Then what you do next, use the technology to gather data about the symptoms, then analyze the results and automate the detection procedures. And then last thing again, what you do, you investigate the symptoms, and last you do the follow up. Okay, so what does it say? Analytical steps, technology steps, and the investigative steps, the steps that may be involved in conducting the forensic audit. What is the crucial word over there? Symptoms. Okay, this word will come in your answer only when you've studied and gone. So understand the business, then identify the possible fraud, then identify the possible fraud symptoms, then gather data about the symptoms, then analyze the result and automate the detection procedures, and then again you investigate the symptoms. Right, symptoms is what? Red flags, possibility of fraud, indicators of the fraud. Is it clear to everyone? Okay, and then coming to another one, that is question number 7, the techniques that may be used in the forensic audit, right? So now coming to the next point of our discussion. Everybody, are you listening to me? Right, generally students, you know what happens for them is that audit, they do standards, ethics, caro company audit, and they think, oh my god, audit is done. You understand? No, standard ethics caro, and look at these chapters, they take more time than even a caro or something like that, right? So much of discussion over there, right? So techniques that may be used in the forensic audit, right? So what are the techniques you may use? One, it says the general audit techniques. And a general audit techniques is your testing of defenses. And a good initial forensic audit technique is to attempt to circumvent these defenses yourself. The weaknesses you find within the organization control will most probably guide you down the C path taken by the suspected perpetrators. That means what? They say, okay, purchase order, purchase invoice, if the amount does not match, the entry is not entered, the entry cannot be passed in the system. What does client tell you? What is the control? Okay, if the purchase order amount is 10,000, and by mistake also if I put the purchase invoice amount as 10,001, the entry will not be accepted by the system and we cannot release the payment. This is what the client is telling you. The auditor says, okay, this is the internal control, very good. What auditor does? Deliberately, he enters some dummy data into the computer system of the client, and deliberately he puts the purchase amount as 20,000 and he puts the purchase invoice amount as 20,000 too. Now, if the client says that our system will not accept, there should be an error box which should come, dialog box which should come over there. That amount does not match with PO, amend the PO first. You understand? But what happened? You saw that you put purchase order amount 20,000, you put invoice amount as 20,000 too, and the system accepted, and you could also do the payment of the 20,000 too. So what client was, trumpeting about their controls, okay, no, our control doesn't allow if the amount does not match. Is that really happening? No, that is actually not really happening. So what are you doing? You're testing the defenses. So whatever client is saying that this is the defense, this is what never happens, this is what we never do, auditor says, let me check whatever you're saying. So this is for a normal audit procedure. That is why they call it as the general audit technique. Next one is the SMT. What is SMT? The statistical and the mathematical techniques, which is nothing but our analytical procedures, trend analysis and the ratio analysis, right? So analytical procedures, which is the trend analysis. Businesses have cycles and seasons. Oh my God. And just look at, this looks like literature to me. And they write it in audit syllabus. Businesses have cycles and seasons, much akin to nature itself. So just as nature has spring, monsoon, winter, summer, it says even business has that. An expense or event within a business that would be analogous to a snowy day in the middle of a summer is worth investigating. You understand? Okay, there was a summer, and all of a sudden in the middle of summer, scorch 40-degree, and all of a sudden snow started coming. It says it's worth investigating. You understand? No, this is audit subject. You have to write down snowy day in the middle of summer is worth investigating. You'll not write? Then what is the use of reading? Oh no. Okay, so trend analysis. Okay, right? Then ratio analysis. No, I have not written anything on my own. Huh? This is all institute study material content over there. Okay, right. Ratio analysis. Arey, don't talk, Ray. Not required. Okay. Now, financial ratios. What does it say? Like financial ratios that give indications on the financial health of a company. Data analysis ratio reports on the fraud health by identifying the possible symptoms of the fraud, right? So data analysis that, you now see, generally in an organization, should there be any person who is passing an accounting entry at 3 o'clock in the morning? Should there be any person passing an accounting entry at 3 o'clock in the morning? No, the office should be shut down. 10 o'clock should be the last, 7 o'clock should be the last accounting entry. You saw that there were 7 accounting entries which were passed by the CEO of the company at 3 a.m. in the morning. Only 7 accounting entry, hai na? Sitting, what to do? Pass bogus journal entry. You understand? All management override of controls and instances of management fraud in the organization. Are you able to identify that, right? So what is this? This is data analysis ratio report. Your data says that there should be no entry which should be passed between 10 o'clock in the night till 10 o'clock in the morning. But I see these 7 entries which have been passed. So I want to look into these 7 entries over there. Right, so what is that? That's the ratio analysis. Are you understanding that? So GAT and SMT. What is GAT? General audit techniques. What is SMT? Statistical and mathematical techniques. Are you all with me? Next one, the TB and the DBT. What does it say? Technology based digital forensic techniques. Already asked as a retail question in your exam. So 5 star. Right? TB, DP is TBDFT. Right? The technology based digital forensic techniques. Technology based digital forensic techniques. Okay. Right? Technology based. Please don't talk. This is something very important I'm discussing. I expect that at least a question will come 4 to 5 times on this particular heading in the exam. You understand? No, you saw some previous question. Now 6 times it has come in exam. Records and documents to identify related party or something like that. The mandatory areas of review by audit committee. 7 times it has come in exam. This type of candidate this is. Look, it can come 4, 5 times in the exam. Technology based digital forensic techniques. That is, what does it say? In today's modern computer driven society, every transaction leaves a digital footprint. Point number 1. In today's modern computer driven society, every transaction leaves a digital footprint. Okay, so what does it say? A close scrutiny of the emails, accounting records, phone log, target hard drive is a requisite facet of any modern forensic audit. And so looking into the emails, looking into the phone log, looking into the hard disk, right? What does it say? It's a requisite of any modern forensic audit. Okay, right. Now when I want to check somebody's phone log, or when I want to check somebody's email, or I want to check somebody's hard disk, it will lead to invasion of the privacy. It will lead to the invasion of the privacy. So that is why first you need to take the appropriate legal advice. Then, can you hack somebody's phone? Can you hack somebody's, what you say, email account over there? No, you require the ethical hackers for the same. And you require the ethical hackers for the same. So it says you may require to take the help of the trained digital investigators, right? So you may have to. Digital investigations can become quite complex and require support from the trained digital investigators. Are you getting point number 4, everyone? Yes. And then the last one. There are many open source digital forensic tools which are available nowadays. And these are a few examples of the same, right? What you can do, each of them, you can put it on Google and you can check that what does that particular type of tool mean over there. Because this is only what they've introduced in your syllabus over there. Right, so what are the 5 points? And what does it see? Technology based digital forensic techniques. And 5 words over there. So one, what does it say? Every transaction leaves a digital footprint in today's modern computer driven society. Is it clear to everyone? Then what does it say? Close scrutiny of the email, the accounting records, the phone log, the target hard disk is a requisite facet of any modern forensic audit, right? So it's a requisite facet of any forensic audit. Then before taking any steps such as obtaining data from email, the forensic auditor should take the appropriate legal advice so that it does not amount to invasion of the privacy. Then what does it say? Digital investigations can become quite complex and support may be required from the trained digital investigators. And what does it say? Many open source digital sources forensic tools are now available to assist in the phase of the this phase of the investigation. Are you understanding these points, everyone? Right. So what does the T over there stands for? You take steps and to check whether the before taking the steps, and whether it is amounting to invasion of the privacy, right? Whether it is amount to the invasion of the privacy, right? Then what does it say? Every transaction leaves a digital footprint, right? So that's the D point over there, right? Then after that, what does it say? You take the assistance of the trained digital investigator. So what is this last T over there? It is regarding the trained digital investigators, right? Trained digital investigators. Then what does it say? It's a requisite facet of any modern forensic audit, right? So it's a requisite facet of any modern forensic audit. Are you understanding that, right? And a lot of open source tools are available nowadays, right, to assist in this phase of the investigation, right? So there are a list of points which are available, right? So available, so out of that, the B point you can point over there. There are many open source digital forensic tools which are nowadays available, right? So what are we trying to do? From the heading we are trying to remember technology based digital forensic technique. So what is one? You take steps in order to ensure that it does not lead to the invasion of the privacy. Then what does it say? Nowadays, lot of open forensic tools are available. Then what does it say? Every transaction leaves a digital footprint in today's modern computer driven society. Digital footprint. And what does it say? Close scrutiny of the relevant emails. Close scrutiny of the relevant emails, the accounting records, phone logs, hard drive is a requisite facet of in today's modern forensic audit. And then you can also take the assistance of the trained digital investigators, right? You can also take the assistance of the trained the trained digital investigators. Are you getting that, everyone? Yes, clear to everyone? Yes, so that is regarding the TBDFT. What is TBDFT? Technology based digital forensic techniques. Is it clear to everyone? Okay, right. Then after that, what is the next one which we have over there? A very well known old one which we also know it since ages, the computer assisted audit techniques. Right, what does it say? Is used as a part of the audit procedure to process data. Right, so that same computer assisted audit techniques, you can also use it in the forensic audit. Then what does it say? One of the type of the computer assisted audit techniques is a generalized audit software, and one of the type of the generalized audit software is a specialized tool over there called as the common software tool. So now these three I will write them together. Which three I'll write together? Computer assisted audit techniques. Then after that you have the the generalized audit software, and then you have the common software tools, right? Then you have the common software tool, right? So these three I write them together, right? So which two first? General audit techniques and statistical and mathematical techniques. Second one, third one, technology based digital forensic techniques. And then I created a set of three. Which three? Computer assisted audit techniques, generalized audit software, and the common software tool. Is it clear to everyone? Right. Generalized audit software is a class of cats. So it's a type of cats, right, that allows the auditor to undertake data extraction, querying, manipulation, summarizing, and analytical tasks. GAS focuses on the fully exploiting the data available in the system. So basically, when I read about this, it gives me an idea as if I'm using Excel. And if I talk about a very layman example, that you run a pivot table in Excel, or you create some charts or graphics in Excel, what is that? You're using the generalized audit software, right? And what are the common examples of GAS that they are talking about? The auto command language, the interactive data extraction and analysis, and also the PAN audit, right? So these are the three examples of the generalized audit software. Again, can it be an MCQ in your exam? Yes. Right, what is the MCQ? What are the types of the GAS? ACL, IDEA, and the PAN audit. Right, ACL, IDEA, and the PAN audit. Okay, and one type of the GAS, right, it says GAS has its own shortcoming. That is why, due to the shortcomings of GAS, CSTs have become more popular. Spreadsheets like Excel and Lotus, RDBMS, and report writers are few examples of the CSTs, right? So that comes under the common software tool, and their widespread acceptability is due to its instant availability and the lower cost, right? So rather, the Excel, instead of writing it under the generalized audit software, we can write it under the common software tool. Here what do we write down as the auto command language, we write down the IDEA, and we write down the PAN audit. Are you getting that? Okay, and then you have the common software tools. Spreadsheets may be extremely easy to use due to its simplicity and versatility. Other CSTs may need more practice. Whether one uses the GAS or the CST, it is imperative that the auditor is aware about the manner and process that have led to the data generation, the control environment revolving around the data, and the source from where the data samples are imported, right? So very important is the data which you are using while using these GAS or the CST, right? So that's the next three over there. Which are the three over there, everyone? Computer assisted audit techniques, then the generalized audit software, and the common software tool. And then we have two more over there. DMT. What is DMT? The data mining techniques. And the last one is what? The laboratory analysis. Laboratory analysis of the physical and the electronic evidences. The laboratory analysis of the physical and electronic evidences. So data mining, techniques. That is one. And last one, we'll keep it isolated. What is the last one? The laboratory analysis of the physical and the electronic evidences, right? The laboratory analysis of the physical and electronic evidences. What has already come as a retail question in your exam? TBDFT, technology-based digital forensic techniques and the data mining techniques. Those have already come as a retail question in your exam. So what are total, how many are there? 8 techniques that may be used in the forensic audit. What are the 8 techniques that may be used? Yes, one, the general audit techniques. Then you have the statistical and mathematical techniques, then the computer assisted audit techniques, the generalized audit software, common software tool. So this is one set, right, of 5. Then after that you have the technology based digital forensic techniques, then you have the data mining techniques and the laboratory analysis of the physical and electronic evidences, right? So technology, laboratory analysis of the physical and electronic evidences. Okay, right? So data mining techniques, again we need to mark it as a 5-star because question already asked in the exam, right? So data mining, generally what is the term mining used for? That in the coal mines, and when they are doing the, what do you say, they do exploration of the coal mine, then they find some diamonds or something, some extraction over there. But did they expect that diamonds would be there? No, they think they might be there or they might not be there, but they keep on extracting till the time. Or generally when you want to dig a bore well also, you don't know where you will find water, but you keep on extracting, keep on checking it over there, and finally at some place you find the source of water. You have to dig, what do you say, very deep, or sometimes, in order to get the source of water over there, right? So now what does it say? In case of data mining, what are you doing? You're mining, that is, you're processing. You're processing large volume of data. You're making different tables, you're doing different correlation and all. Why? In order to identify new, hidden, or an unexpected pattern of the information or the pattern. Yes, what you're doing? Automatically mining large volume of the data to find out what? New, hidden, or the unexpected information. Rather, income tax department also, to decide whom to send a notice to, they make use of this data mining technique, where they say too many foreign trips have been done, or they say too many of expenses have been incurred in the name of somebody. Then they say, oh, this particular person, we need to send a notice over there. Too many land deals have been done. So what is that? Are they knowing that this person would have done it? No. Without any preconceived notion. What does it say? Without any prior knowledge of the fraud. It discovers the usual knowledge of patterns in the data without a predefined idea or a hypothesis about what the pattern may be. It is automatically thrown out from the system. You had never expected that this is what will come out from the system. You just were processing the data. You understand, no? Sometimes like you don't know, you're mixing two colors. You don't know which is the color which will come out after mixing these two colors. Sometimes you know if you mix these two colors, red and yellow, you get orange. But you don't know what will happen if you mix some two other colors or so. Right, so what does it say? It is a set of the assisted techniques that automatically mine a large volume of data for identifying 3 important words over there. What are the 3 important words? New, hidden, or the unexpected information or the pattern. It discovers the usual knowledge or the pattern without a predefined idea or hypothesis about what the pattern may be. That is, without any knowledge of the fraud, right? Then it explains various affinities, associations, and trends and variations in the form of the conditional logic. Right, so affinities. Okay, generally, if you see in the month of September, the sale of the particular, this particular medicine sells more in the month of September. That you just come out it comes out through by mining the data, say, of a pharmaceutical company. Okay, this particular medicine, the demand for it has gone down. So what does it come to know? Or in the north part of the country, this particular medicine is selling more. Or in the east part of the country, this particular medicine is selling more. So just, or people are falling more sick for this disease in this part of the country. So various affinities, associations, and trends in the form of a conditional logic. So maybe because these people are eating so and so type of food, that is why they are falling sick, and that is why this type of sickness is coming. So some type of a conditional logic over there. Are you understanding that? Then it says there are 3 ways of doing the data mining. What are the 3 ways of doing the data mining? Discovery, that is, you come to know something new. Or predictive modeling, that is, you try to predict, like weather forecast forecast, that's a predictive modeling, and the deviation and link analysis. And okay, if it is not followed, then what will happen? What if scenario type? Right. So all the words which I have marked, okay, this is what the examiner wants in your answers. What does it say? What is the aim of data mining? To automatically mine large volume of data to find out the new, hidden, or the unexpected information or the pattern. So what does it say? Without any prior knowledge of the fraud. It discovers, it explains the various affinities, associations, trends, and variation in the form of a conditional logic. And then what does it say? Three phases of doing the data mining. What are the three ways? Discovery, predictive modeling, or the deviation and the link analysis. Is that clear to everyone? Yes. And the last one which we have over there is the laboratory analysis of the physical and electronic evidences. Like, I don't know, once or till today also that serial might be running on Sony TV channel, CID, and in that CID, if you don't know, it's okay. There's that Mr. Salunke over there, Dr. Salunke, who is there in the laboratory always doing some, checking over there. And then the CID inspector keeps on saying that some evidence would be there. Look at every nook and corner. Kuch to surag zarur milega. He says, no, chappa chappa chan nikalo. Okay, look into each and every corner. Some or the other place, you will find out some evidence over there, right? And then there is that Daya over there who will hit everybody left, right, center and all. So generally, I don't know now, so it's been a lot of time. But whenever you used to on Sony TV, you used to see CID serial only going on over there. Okay. Right. So anyways, we are talking about two types over there. What are the two types? Computer forensics and the protection and validation of the evidences. Right. So again, these two could be the retail question. According to me, this is the next one. Now the turn is of this one in the exam. Who has already, who has already been martyred in the exam or already been put into the exam? Technology-based digital forensic technique. Their time came. Next, whose time came? Data mining technique. Okay, next, can the time come of the generalized audit software or the common software tool also? Yes, but big possibility of timing coming of the laboratory analysis of the physical and the electronic evidences. So now what does it say? One, computer forensics. What? No, many students may say, "Arey, computer forensics out of syllabus." Arey, what out of syllabus? It is there under laboratory analysis. Computer forensics. Again, this we had studied in our TBDFT. What is TBDFT? TBTFT, technology-based digital forensic techniques. What does it say? Hard disk imaging, email analysis, search for erased file, analyze use and possible misuse, and computer software to analyze the data. Right, so this is TBDFT. Is it right? Similar to that? Right, the computer forensics, is it clear to everyone? Technology-based digital forensic techniques, yes. And then the next one over there, what does it say? The federal rules of evidence. If you want to show it as an evidence in the court, how it should be. I know there is a particular method regarding how evidence is to be presented in the court, right? So then the chain of the custody, then the alteration and the the altered and the fictitious documents, right? So any tampering, any changes have been done to the documents. Then what does it say? Physical examination, fingerprint analysis. And again, what may be done in the altered and fictitious documents? They could have done the forgery. Then you also do the ink sampling and also the document dating. They might backdate a particular document. Like this had happened big time years back in 2000, Y2K. The Y2K problem had happened. Okay, what happened? Year was 1999. So now see, when it is 1997, then year becomes 1998, it becomes 1999. So accounting year knows that next year has come. Now system mein what happened? The moment you put 00, system started going to 0. All account balances started coming as 0. That was called as the Y2K crisis that time. Now, because see, from 24 you go to 25, 25 you go to 26, it is okay. Now system you only write, like you used to write 31st December 99, and then all of a sudden you are writing 1st of January 00. What happened when people went to office on the first day? They saw their entire entries are getting reversed and the system is coming to 0. Why? Because of the date. So that was one time that problem happened over there, the Y2K crisis. Then they developed some particular tool, through which that data migration, again, the entire data was taken and again continue. So again, it's a problem which comes once in a century. You understand? No, once in a century. Like, I never even thought of also. Like, for 99 years, who will think, okay, this type of a problem may also come. Okay, right. So that is where they are talking about the document dating and also the ink sampling. You've seen ink sampling being done over there. They put some magnetic files and some ink sampling through which they again try to search for the evidences. Okay, right. So computer forensics and the protection and validation of the evidences. So to validate your evidence should be as per the federal rules. Then there should be a proper chain of the custody. Then what does it say? Physical examination and the fingerprint analysis, and then the altered and fictitious document. That means there is the forgery, and then you can also check for the ink sampling and the document dating, right? According to me, techniques that may be used by forensic audit and the process of forensic accounting, process of forensic accounting, right? Super duper important, right? Super important. Process of forensic accounting, that initialization ka points over there, and this techniques that may be used by the forensic auditor. Are you understanding the techniques? Yes, everybody, can you tell me once again? General audit techniques, then the statistical and mathematical techniques, then the computer assisted audit techniques, then the generalized audit software, then the common software tool, then the TBDFT, technology based digital forensic techniques, then the DMT, data mining techniques, and then you have the laboratory analysis of the physical and electronic evidences, in which you one have the computer forensics, and second what you have over there is the protection and the validation of the evidences, right? The protection and the validation of the evidences. Is it clear to everyone? What question has already come in the exam? TB, DFT and DMT. These questions have already come in the exam as the retail questions. Okay, and lucky you if they ask techniques that may be used by the forensic auditor. But that will be like a wholesale question. But the trend, if you see over there, is of the retail question. Okay, right? So that completes the 7th part of our discussion. Are you all with me? What was the 7th part of our discussion over there? Right, the steps we saw, ATI, then techniques, and now coming to the 8th part of our discussion, which is regarding the contents of the forensic audit report, right? Coming to the points regarding the FAR. What is the FAR over here? The forensic audit report. Okay, right? So what are the points to be kept in mind? Okay, everywhere. Today, where else did we see the mind? In the due diligence. And okay, what are the important points to be kept in mind? So we said first thing, open mind. Right? Look, first thing which you need to have over there is the open mind. Open mind will be there with the best resources. Yes, you remember that? Okay, similarly over here, now it says when you're preparing the forensic audit report, what points are to be kept in mind? So here you need to have a clear mind. There you need to have a open mind. Here you need to have a clear thinking. Then whom you need to keep uppermost in your mind? You need to keep the reader uppermost in your mind. Then in your mind, there should be no bias. Then also, what does it say? You have to think about the impact of the report. Why? Because this is something which is the legal, and it's being used in the courts of law. So it says to remember the universal saying, don't jump to conclusion. Right? So consider the impact of your reporting, and again the report should be based on the facts and figures, and also you can give these suggestions to prevent the fraud in the future. Right? So what is the points over here? What are the points to be kept in mind while reporting? What are the points? Keep clear thinking, clear mind as to whom is the report directed, the purpose and aim of the investigation. Seriously, they can write this in an audit technical subject, cool and calm thinking. And they've written that cool and calm thinking, having logical and coherent presentation. That means doing meditation every day, half an hour. You understand? No, cool and calm thinking to have logical and coherent presentation, and then the pattern of the presentation. So what is required? Meditative mind. Arey, don't write in exam. What is required? Forensic auditor, you'll write meditative mind. No, 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 no. Clear mind. And a clear thinking is required. So to whom the report is directed, purpose and aim of the investigation. Now why they got the word investigation over here, don't know. But they say, yeah, investigation. Then cool and calm thinking. So one, what it says, clear thinking. Then it says cool thinking. Then it says calm thinking. Are you getting that? Right? And then the coherent presentation and the pattern of presentation. Then whom to keep uppermost in mind? Reader. So reader, for that's why translate technical matters into layman language and visualize the reader's viewpoint. Then also mention the viewpoint of the auditee. That means it has to be an unbiased approach. Then what will be the probable reaction to reporting, whether action or decision will follow in quickest possible time or to be treated as of academic interest only, right? So what will be the impact? Will it create any impact on the controls in the organization, or is it just some theory work which has been done over there? Right, so what will be the impact of your report? And finally, facts and figures should be in proper sequences, and also you can give these suggestions to prevent the fraud in the future. So points to be kept in mind while doing the reporting by the forensic auditor. So forensic audit report. Then what are the main factors to be considered for the various ways of presentation of the written report? So why they write factors, don't know. Maybe actually it is more of the contents, or what you say in the report over there, but contents is given separately also. So maybe that's why they are saying what are the factors to be considered for the various ways of the presentation. How should I present my report? So what all should be there in my report? Nature of the business, nature of the subject being checked. Appraised means what? Reviewed. Then for whom is the report and what is the purpose of the report? Right? Then the management attitude and the forensic auditor caliber. Right? So attitude of the management and the caliber of the forensic auditor and the extent of details required by auditee and management. So nature of the business, nature of the subject which is to be audited. Then for whom the report is, what is the purpose of the report, what is management attitude, what are the skill set of the forensic auditor, and the extent of details required by the auditee and the management. Are you able to get little bit about the factors? Right. So first, what are the points to be kept in mind? What mind? Clear mind, reader uppermost in mind, unbiased mind, impact of the report, and facts and figures. Then what does it say? What are the factors to be considered while preparing your presentation? The nature of the business, the nature of the subject matter being appraised, for whom is the report being prepared, the purpose, then the management attitude and the forensic auditor's approach and caliber, and the details required by auditee and management. And last question, which again big time, I'm waiting for it to come in the exam, because so many others have already come, but this is a good candidate but not yet come in the exam. Contents of the forensic audit report. Today did we discuss the contents of the DD report? Yes, so we here see this one, the contents of the due diligence report. Right, so on the same lines, what we also have is the contents of the forensic audit report. So again, what did I tell you? All these special reports, they start with the executive summary. So what are the contents of the forensic audit report? ERAERG. Right? ERAERG. What is E? Executive summary. R, risk analysis. A, audit process. E, evidence of risk event. R, audit recommendations. And G, governance on recommendation implementation. Right? So contents of the forensic audit report. What are the contents of the forensic audit report? Executive summary, then the risk analysis, then the audit process, ERA, that is ERA, and then ERG. What is ERG? The evidence of risk event, then the audit recommendations, and then the governance on the recommendation implementation. Clear to everyone? Contents of the forensic audit report, right? We'll look into these points over here, but here first practically let's try to see a few forensic audit report. Right? So contracted by the Ministry of Finance. Now what does it say? The objective and scope of the forensic audit, the background, the audit period under review, then the student loan agency, approval of loans repayment and the interest charges, government contributions, loans issued in excess of 1 million, loan management data, records maintained, financial statements, petty cash, receipts, is appendix and the directives. Okay, so chartered accountants, business and financial services, right, provided to the Ministry of Finance. Forensic audit of the student revolving fund. So it says the objective and scope of the audit are to find out, right, the details regarding the revolving fund of the students. What does it say? And it says a student loan account and not a student revolving fund account as explained by the agency's head. Right, so giving all the students requirements to be eligible for the loan. Right, then again it says the loans which have been given, campus, right? What are the total number of loans given, loan in excess of particular limit, right? So, or loan management. So this is something where they find out a fraud, no, where the loan has not been given properly or so, right? So the records, financial statements, and so petty cash receipts, all the findings over there. No, bank reconciliation. There were two bank accounts, the repayment account and the general bank account. And the recommendation: the Ministry of Finance should consider the following: appoint an oversight of the board of trustees. The trustee should report to the Minister of Finance. The trust should approve the governance practices, and they must ensure the following, right? So these are the points which should be taken care of, so that the loan is properly given, right? So that the loan would be properly given, and agreed to the budget allocation and all the other details. Okay, right? We have one more forensic audit report over here, right? Forensic audit and the special financial review into the expenses of management and the board and the procurement activities of Thompson Nicola is regional district or so. So again, the forensic report, right? And again, what do they write in the report? Introduction, right? The purpose, restrictions and qualifications, if any, statement of independence, scope of review, scope limitation, background, approach, summary of observation, governance, then the culture of spending, expense reimbursement, procurement and vendor review, and search terms and criteria, definitions, then the ISK relationship chart, and so, right? So what we can do, we can directly go to the page number 15, which is regarding the summary of the observations, right? So the statement of independence, the scope of the review, right? And then what we have over here is the scope limitations. Okay, what was background of the particular engagement, right? Background to the allegations. Okay, personal expenses, they are not differentiating, right? And then after that we come to the expense reimbursement process. In the following pages we've outlined our understanding of the processes in the flow chart, right? So management expense flow chart, email and document review being done for the same, and then after that they have their findings being given over there, right? So individuals you interviewed for the same, and summary of the observation. Based upon our investigation, we observed a pattern of behavior or practices regarding the expense claim and the disbursements that existed during the period of review. Frequent and high level of spending on meals and entertainment. Okay, splitting of expenses or directly subordinates by senior management to pay for and claim reimbursement for expenses which can be used to avoid scrutiny or bypass the policies, right? So subordinate expense shown as it is the expense of the senior management, then it does not require the approval. Then submitting expense claim without adequate support, such as the itemized or legible receipts, and purchase and distribution of gift cards and items of a personal nature without specifying the recipients thereof, right? And we have categorized some of the issues we've observed in our review into the following themes, right? So bullying and harassment, omission or misstated information, conflict of interest, and then the governance, right? So again, this is like no proper fraudulent disbursement or expense reimbursement scheme going wrong. Okay, right? So anyways, what are we talking about over here is the contents of the forensic audit report. What are the contents? Executive summary. So again, starting with the background regarding what are you doing the forensic about, the origin of the audit, why came the need for this audit objective, proposed audit output, and the audit implementation approach. Okay, how are you going to go about doing this particular audit, right? Then after that, after the executive summary, next in the forensic audit report, what you need to give is your risk analysis, and this risk could be the internal environmental risk or it could be the external environmental forces. What could be the internal risk? Environmental risk: you're not able to manage your finances properly, or customers, products, and the competitors. That is again, change in demand for the company product. Then there could be IT related risk, or business process risk, or human resource management, right? So these are the risks which are there within the organization. Okay, within the organization there is a financial crunch, or customer has left the company, product has failed, huge competition. So that is all going concern, no? And the indications of going concern type. Then IT, business processes, and the HRM. And then what do you have in the external environment? Influence of the economic and relevant market, political, legal scenario, and the technology in the sector. So these are the external forces. So you have the internal environment and the external environment, right? Then after that, the audit process. So what are we studying? Contents of the forensic audit report. Point number one: Executive summary. Point number 2, risk analysis. Point number 3, audit process. Audit process, preliminary understanding of the scope and incident coverage, identification of all related data, preparing a list of the persons of interest for interview, then obtaining management approval for the scope, then collect evidence, conduct interview, analyze finding, validate inference, and the conclusion. So this is more like our process of forensic accounting, is it? And this is more like our OPC, process of forensic accounting. You have to explain it in your report also. Okay, you understood the scope of your work, then you identified the data, then which people you need to take the interview of, then you got your scope approved from the management, and then you started collecting the evidences, conducting the interviews, analyzing findings, validating inferences and the conclusions. Then evidence of the risk event, and then what you found out, okay, there is lot of conflict of interest in the report which we saw right now. Did we see this term conflict of interest? Right, in the report which we saw right now, right, of that expense company, expense fraud, right, conflict of interest, there is bribery, there is unnecessary extra expenditure being incurred, there is theft, extortion, theft, fraudulent transaction, inventory fraud, or misuse of asset or financial statement fraud. So what you came to know due to it. So evidence. And then what is the audit recommendation? What is the logical framework, preconditions, and the risk? And then the governance. So who is responsible to ensure that this doesn't happen or this stops happening? It says the stakeholders, and also you'll require some budget to implement the new control. So it says the budget considerations. You have to bring in a new system in the organization. So to bring new system, you require the expenditure. So there also have to be the budget considerations. Okay, right? So I am telling you that, see, forensic audit report, how many times, due diligence report, how many times asked in exam? 2 times. And the forensic due diligence report, right, the due diligence report. But what has not yet been asked in the exam is the contents of the, right, contents of the forensic audit report. And this was one question number 5. Okay, we'll just read this question number 5. I have not seen it with you because we had not discussed the types of the due diligence that time. Egbote company is currently a large organization trading in items of the office furniture. The entity wants to expand and hence are looking at acquisition of Rawat company, which deals in items of the household furniture. Egbote company hires a CA to conduct a due diligence to consider whether there is the potential for additional value to be brought out of the target company by improving its operational function, and also whether there are any serious operational risk about which the potential buyer should be concerned, thereby allowing the buyer to reconsider aborting the deal or renegotiating the price. Which of the due diligence review would be helpful to achieve the above objective? Right, so obviously which type of due diligence is required is the operational due diligence, and you are also required to briefly explain the contents of the due diligence report. Right, so that's again a new variety of the question in the MTP, wherein they give you a situation and they are telling you, okay, you know which type of due diligence. You remember we studied types of due diligence: operational due diligence, financial due diligence, legal due diligence, environmental due diligence, tax due diligence, personal due diligence, and the information system due diligence. So here in this case, what does it say? Which type of due diligence will be suggested to be done? It says in the instant case, operational due diligence is required to confirm that the business plan provided is achievable with the existing facilities plus the capital expenditure outlined in the business plan. Okay, right. So yes, this already, all these other questions we've already discussed, right? But my concluding remark for this particular chapter would be that you need to put special focus on the discussion of the forensic audit, right? That is my very objective and concluding remark for this particular chapter. Though we have not had any bias in discussing any topic of the chapter, we discussed due diligence also, investigations, forensic audit also. But again, you know, I taught it FIFO method, you will go by LIFO method. You will start with forensic audit, then come to due diligence, and then towards the end you can study regarding the